Something else happened that some of you guys might know. One of the major publishers went away. Did you guys hear about when THQ is? So that's never good news. But one of the things that happened as a consequence of that is, THQ did have in their possession some great IP, intellectual property for brands and games we love. And one of the brands that was in the THQ stable that they didn't really do anything with for as long as they had it was a brand called Homeworld. Did anybody, yeah. And when THQ started to evaporate, Brian kept coming into my office every day and saying, "Randy, we got to get Homeworld. We got to get that, And so I interacted with the THQ guys, and we became part of that process, bidding on the brand, and eventually Gearbox acquired the Homeworld franchise. So what I wanted to ask Brian to talk about, because what we got was we got the brand, we got the games, and we've got some passion, and it's really directed from Brian. So Brian, tell us about why did we do this? Why did we spend all this money to buy this?
Explain yourself.
Well, I mean, who doesn't love spaceships, right? I mean, they're awesome, and this is one of those games that just for me sort of moved me as a brand. I really was impressed with how both the story, some of the best spaceships I'd ever seen outside of Star Wars, and it was just sort of that part of it that meant something to me. So I really thought that we should kind of get it out there to the rest of the world, and a lot of folks haven't had a chance to play it. It's only been on DVD. Or CD, out there, and so hasn't ever been released digitally. And so I thought that, well, we need to let the world see this. We need to get a lot of people to play it and love it the same way that I have, and a lot of the community that has, especially after we bought it, has reached out. I mean, you can still see that there are people making mods for it. I mean, it's a pretty amazing thing.
So what was the process like? So, I don't know if anybody here has ever, been on an auction acquiring a video game IP before, but that was kind of an interesting experience. So, from your point of view, tell the story. How did that go?
Well, it's sort of a weirdly long process. I mean, you have to go through all this effort to sort of do due diligence on it, look at what assets they have, and they won't really show you anything. So you're kind of guessing as to directory structures and all these kind of things. What are we going to get out of that? And then we're debating, how much do we think it's going to go for? I don't know. What else do you think out of what we did there?
Well, it went in a couple rounds. At the beginning, we put in initial bids, and we had to put money in an escrow account that the people that were auctioning off all of THQ's properties were able to look at and see that we were good for it. We couldn't just raise a card up. Number 23, I say I've got a couple $1,000,000. No, you had to actually put the money in and show them that you were good for it. And then it got down to about three bidders.
3 bidders, yeah.
And they decided to do a live auction on the telephone. And 2 of the other bidders were publishers, and we were the only developer. So that was really interesting. And we were just stubborn. So.
Yeah, that's pretty much true.
Yeah, so we ended up getting it. I felt good about the price we paid for it. It was less than what our CFO was comfortable with, which is always a good sign. So what are we going to do with it, Brian? So then the auction happened. Then how long did it take between when the auction closed and when we got the stuff?
It was another almost a month before we were actually able to get any of the assets. We were able to get a hard drive filled with everything, and then start really doing investigation into how we were going to actually build the game.
So what's our plan?
So our plan is to try to release it on Steam. We're going to upgrade all of the ships, make it look amazing for current day, current gen, because this thing is in some cases Homeworld is 15 years old. So at this point, it needs a bit of a fresh coat of paint.
So did you just announce a Homeworld HD?
I might have. And Homeworld 2.
Homeworld and Homeworld 2?
Well, 2 different products.
That's awesome. Brian, I love Homeworld and Homeworld 2. I'm really grateful that you're making a high-definition version of the game. But I like the classic games. How can I get the original, unaltered, unaffected games?
Well, when you buy
Jesus
the
Christ.
HD version, you'll get those too.
So I know, isn't that terrible? We haven't rehearsed this. So Brian wanted to make sure, he wanted to make an awesome version of the game, so he's got a small team at Gearbox working on that. But he also wanted to release the pure versions as well. So when we eventually get that stuff out there on the digital platforms, you'll be able to get a classic, original, unaltered version of Homeworld and Homeworld 2, and you'll also get the HD version. And we've got to figure out what it's going to take to finish all that work and to get it deployed on the digital platforms. But we're doing it. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Absolutely.
And it wouldn't have happened if Brian didn't make me do it.
Yeah.
You know, after the auction, Alex Garden, he was the founder of Relic, you know, the guy that was behind the Homeworld effort. He called me and he just wanted to tell me how grateful he was that we got it, that a developer got the brand instead of a publisher. And he also pledged help and support. And we've been, Brian's, you know, flown out and met a lot of the guys that worked on the original games, and we've had our hand. And by the way, like, this is ancient code. It's really hard. What do we need? Like, what do we need?
Does anybody out there have a copy of Maya 3? Because
He's not kidding. Anyone
yeah.
that we're streaming this to, if you have a copy of Maya 3, we need the software
please get in
and
touch.
the dongle.
Yeah.
Legitimate.
You guys remember dongles? So that was DRM for commercial software back in the day. So we've been talking about Homeworld for about 20 minutes.
We have 20 minutes left.
Oh, we have 20 minutes. All right. So let's talk about something else.